So we have the 90th session of our higher understanding of Vyavasthit combined, and this is the combination of previous sessions of Vyavasthit on Dadavani of December 2013, as well as now Dadavani of October 2019, both magnificent Dadavanis. 70 sessions of the understanding of Vyavasthit are satsang sessions, but our understanding of Vyavasthit is an internal progress. Yes?
Estamos en la sesión 70 de Vyavasthit de Dadavani 2013 y Dadavani de octubre del 2019. Y es la 70 sesión número 70 del entendimiento, que es el progreso interno del entendimiento.
All right, so let us begin with the Tri Mantra from Harman. Harman, Tri Mantra.
¿Cantás Tri Mantra, Germán?
Ok. Namo Vitragai, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayareyanam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loye Sabasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanasano, Mangalanam Cha Savesim, Padamam Havai Mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Satchitanam. Namo Vitragaya. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayareyanam, Namo Vasayanam, Namo Loye Sabasahunam, Eso Panchanamukado, Savapavapanasano, Mangalanam Cha Savesim, Padamam Havai Mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Satchitanam. Namo Vitragaya. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Ayareyanam. Namo Vasayanam. Namo Loye Sabasahunam. Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanasano, Mangalanam Cha Savesim, Padamam Havai Mangalam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Satchitanand. Jai Satchitanand. Jai Satchitanand. Jai Satchitanand.
Jai, Jai Sachidanand. Wonderful. Wonderful. Jai Sachidanand. Tela and Devadasi. Wonderful. Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanam.
Jai Sachidanand. So I'm going to share the screen. I would like for you, my dear Patricia, to go ahead and read this last sutra again. The last, we
The
read
last
the
one, 2958.
2958. We are going to read the whole thing again, and you're going to just read only the Portuguese portion,
Spanish.
okay? Oh, sorry, the
Spanish.
Spanish portion. All right, so let me share it with you here. Okay, here it is. And so continue reading, and then we'll.
La parte que no es el alma pura es el Prakruti, el complejo del no ser. El trabajo es hecho por el Prakruti y todas las circunstancias externas que se juntan. Eso es Vyavasthit, Aptasutra 2958. Además del alma pura, ¿qué otra parte permanece? Queda el Prakruti. Es la que tiene defectos. Cualquier cosa que hace el Prakruti, tú no debes decir hazlo con vigor, ni tampoco debes decir no lo hagas. Tú debes permanecer como el conocedor observador. Entonces es Vyavasthit. Pregunta: ¿existe realmente una relación entre el Prakruti y el Vyavasthit? Dadashri. Ambos están relacionados. Una verdadera relación hay de hecho entre los dos. Los dos tienen en efecto una verdadera relación. Pero si alguna vez el ego no interfiere, entonces todo es Vyavasthit en ese momento. Pero el ego está vivo, ¿no es así? Pregunta. Pero en la actualidad todo lo que experimenta un ser vivo es su Vyavasthit basado en su Prakruti. Dadashri dice: Prakruti y Vyavasthit ambos son realmente lo mismo, pero el ego interfiere,
Just,
no deja al Prakruti.
just a minute. Okay, just a minute. All right. Yeah, go on.
Share the screen. Dadashri, Prakruti y Vyavasthit ambos son realmente lo mismo, pero el ego interfiere, no deja al Prakruti en paz, así que no deja de ser llamado, no puede ser llamado Vyavasthit. Es un asunto diferente. Después de que nosotros quitamos el ego, entonces se llama Vyavasthit. Excepto el alma pura, Shuddhatma, todo lo demás es el Prakruti. Todo lo que se hace es hecho por el Prakruti. ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre Vyavasthit Shakti, la energía de evidencia científica circunstancial, y Prakruti, Dadashri? La única diferencia, si el ego y el Prakruti está con el ego y por lo tanto altera el Vyavasthit. Por lo tanto, si el ego es removido de él, entonces todo es precisamente Vyavasthit. Si se elimina el que interfiere, si no queda nadie que interfiera, entonces todo es Vyavasthit. El ego interfiere y es por eso que esta vida mundana persiste. Pregunta: entonces Prakruti menos el ego es igual a Vyavasthit Shakti, ¿es así? Dadashri, sí, este ego que está dentro interfiere y por eso la vida mundana persiste. Si no interfiere, entonces no hay problemas. Después de alcanzar este Gnan, no tienes a nadie que interfiera, así que es Vyavasthit. Pregunta, en esta vida que está bajo el control de Vyavasthit y que está bajo nuestro control, Dadashri, todo lo material está bajo control de Vyavasthit y todo lo que está bajo nuestro control es lo real. Toda la conciencia despierta permanece en lo real. Todo lo que está bajo nuestro control y todo lo material está bajo el control de Vyavasthit. Este Chandubhai, en efecto, está bajo el control de Vyavasthit. A eso se dice, yo soy Chandubhai. Y eso conduce a problemas. Ahora tú has alcanzado tu estado, por eso puedes permanecer en casa, como el ser. Así que para aquellos que no han alcanzado su ser, para ellos solo prevalece la creencia de que yo soy Chandubhai y lo estoy haciendo. Pregunta, entonces, ¿por qué? Entonces, por favor, explique este vínculo entre el ser y Vyavasthit Shakti. Dadashri. Vyavasthit se encargará de todas las interacciones de la vida mundana, mientras que estar en la conciencia despierta, Jagruti, para progresar como el ser, Purushart, siguiendo las 5 agnas, las directivas especiales dadas por el Gnani Purush, que sostiene el estado iluminado después del Gnanvidhi. Ese es tu trabajo, el resto no es tu trabajo, está bajo el gobierno de Vyavasthit. Ahora te has convertido en el alma pura. Ahora, ¿qué es esta vida mundana? La respuesta es que está bajo el control del que está bajo el gobierno de Vyavasthit. Tú debes ver eso. Todo lo que está allí, tú debes verlo todo. Por lo tanto, gradualmente, todo eso continuará naturalmente y tú serás capaz de permanecer como el conocedor observador, Nata, Shatra, Drashta, en la conciencia aplicada, Upayo, como el ser. Esto es todo lo que tratamos de decir. Ahora, ay, ay, ahora, si alguien se burla de ti, entonces resuélvelo con ecuanimidad. No importa, no importa lo que alguien haga, haz tu trabajo resolviendo con ecuanimidad. Digamos que has salido y tu cerradura se ha roto y te han robado todo. Entonces cuando vuelvas y veas eso, ahí no deberías tener ningún efecto. Es Vyavasthit.
So we discussed this, we covered this in the last session, and now in this reading, at least the initial understanding should be very clear, you see, for all of us.
Esto lo vimos, ya lo habíamos visto, el último satsang. Ahora lo leemos de nuevamente y debería estar claro para todos nosotros.
The belief that I am Chandubhai, I am Tela, I am Marcella is now a dying belief. In other words, it is in fact already dead. It was killed in the Gnanvidhi. It has been fractured, completely removed. What is remaining is the belief of the old one who is in the middle, the old one who still wants to attach to, who still is remaining as the owner of this body. You see, this body needs an owner. This body needs an owner, but you do not, you and I do not have to be the owner. You and I are not the owner in reality, in exactness. The owner of this body is the dying ego, whose work is still remaining, you see. The work is still remaining as in discharge, the body, because suddenly we have received the Gnan in our life, you see, this knowledge. And this one that was charged in the last life has to be discharged, has to complete, you see, has to come to its natural conclusion, you see. This complex called
Yeah.
of the mind, speech, and body, you see.
Otra, por favor. Sorry, it was frozen.
That's okay.
I listen and
Well, that's
but it
Vitsanj.
was
You see, the charge and the discharging processes of Pudgal. Pudgal means material thing, physical thing, you see. Matter, you see, matter that gets charged in the last life and then discharged in this life from the little baby state in the body of the mother all the way to the last breath in this life. That is the jeev, or that which gets life and that which dies, you see, that which gets life and that which which dies. You see, that charge and discharge process is eternal. It's going on all the time, you see. Charge and discharge process. In that, the Amapura, the absolute Amapura, is locked in, as the Lord is locked in. And now, in our case, we are free, you see. So now the discharging process is the only thing that remains, you see.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
La creencia de que soy Chandubhai fue removida, fracturada en el Gnan Vidi. Lo único que queda es lo del medio, la vieja creencia de que somos dueños de este cuerpo. Pero para nosotros ya no somos esa creencia de que somos nuestro cuerpo. Es el ego que está muriendo. Y el trabajo va a perdura en la descarga. Y nosotros estamos en el Nan, en el conocimiento. Y todo lo que vemos es lo que se cargó en la vida pasada. El proceso es la carga y la descarga del Pudgal. Y Pudgal es la materia, es lo físico. La carga se hizo en la vida pasada y la descarga está en esta vida. Y comienza desde que el bebé está gestado en la panza de su mamá hasta el último respiro de su vida. Todo lo que tiene vida muere. Es una carga y descarga continua. Y allí el alma pura está encerrada, pero para nosotros fue liberada.
You see, the jeev, the word jeev means that which has that which has attained attained life. You see, but life temporary. You see, not eternal life. You see, no, eternal life is only of the Amapura. You see, so the jeev is the one that this is the Prakriti and the ego, you see. The ego is there because the Jeev in human life form believes I am this body, this is happening to me, and therefore it is bound, you see, because it is bound. The bondage is because of this connection with that which is absolutely otherwise independent, you see, coming together and dissipating, coming together and dissipating, you see, lives coming together, and then lives, they live together in the family maybe, and then one or the other person dies, grandpa dies, grandma goes away, then mama passes away, etc., you see, and so they come together and they leave, and they come together and leave. Only the blessed ones become free. Only the blessed ones, absolutely blessed ones, become free, you see.
Yes. El Chief es el que ha obtenido, el que obtuvo la vida temporal, no la eterna. El alma pura es la vida eterna. Chief es el Prakruti y el ego, porque el Chief es el ser humano con la creencia de que soy este cuerpo y las cosas me pasan a mí. Por eso existe esta atadura, se forma esta atadura. Y son cosas que vienen y que vienen y se disipan, ¿no? Vienen a la vida, viene la abuela y se va, viene la madre, viene y se va. Solamente permanece eterno aquel que fue verdaderamente bendecido, el que se libera.
So there is this concept that we read about today, my friends, is that the ego is living, is it not? And this word, the ego is living, is it not, is for the people who it's for the people who have not people who have not attained the self, you see. For those who have not attained the self, the ego is living, you see. Right?
Yes. El concepto que es el mundo, el concepto que vimos es el mundo del ego se va y es para la gente que no lograron el ser.
Yeah. You see, so it's the ego is living, and this ego, the living ego, is what interferes with what would otherwise be the exact Prakriti. The Prakriti is formed from past life, and it will discharge naturally as it was formed in this life. Whatever intentions, whatever feelings, whatever it carried in the last life, it now gives its result in this life, and it arises, and then it is dying, except now the ego interferes and says, no, I'm not this way, it should be this way, no, not this way. So the new evidences gives it new knowledge, new desires, you see, new attachment, aversions. I like it, I hate it, no, not this way, it should be this way, etc. And therefore then it interferes with what was meant to completely die, you see, go away, but it interferes, and then so it creates new Prakriti for next life, you see.
Yes. El ego vivo es lo que interfiere, lo que sería exacto para el Prakruti, y es lo que cargó en la vida pasada y lo que se está descargando en esto. Y esto moriría, pero el ego no lo permite porque interfiere. Dice, no, esto tendría que ser así, no, esto no me gusta, esto, ¿no? Peleándose con las cosas que suceden, pero nosotros tenemos evidencias de estos y con este nuevo conocimiento. Y todo lo que pasa con el Prakruti es el apego y la aversión. Y cuando el ego interviene, lo que hace es crear más Prakruti.
So you see, so we all understand the living ego. The living ego is, oh, I am Chandubhai, I am green, yes, this is how it should do, we should do it, etc. And that is all around us, everywhere. Uh, for us, we are in a different state. We are in a different state. Each one of us in this satsang are in a different state. In a different state of the self, Amapura. And Amapura is egoless. Amapura can never be with ego, you see. And so from that state, we are now able to see the dying ego of Shuddha, Gavi, Marcella, Patri, where, how it is, it's there, but it's dying, you see. It cannot, it will say, yes, we have to do it this way. Yes, it will. But it is called, dying ego, which is interesting. It is dying. In fact, it's been dead, but it's got energyless ego. Dada calls it the impotent ego. Impotent ego. It cannot create anything new. You see, it just, you and I can see it. You see, this is the beauty of it. You and I can see that. We can see only ours. We cannot see other people's egos. You see, that way. We are not supposed to see other people's egos.
Yes. El ego vivo es el que cree que yo soy Chandubhai, yo soy Patricia, yo soy Gaby, y decimos, esto me gusta, esto no me gusta, haz esto así. Pero para nosotros estamos en un estado diferente, el estado del alma pura. Y el alma pura no tiene ego. Y de esto podemos ver que el ego está muriendo, pero todavía está ahí, pero menos ego. No puede estar no va perdiendo la capacidad de crear algo más. Nosotros podemos ver cómo nuestro ego está funcionando, pero no ver el ego de los otros.
Does it mean, important? Important means incapable of producing a new baby, you see, incapable of producing new life. It is still got a lot of energies to complete whatever was charged in the Prakriti in the last life. So even in the last decade or in the last 5 years, such a human being, a Mahatma, will do beautiful things, you see, will accomplish very beautiful things, you see. But there is no sense inside that Mahatma that I am doing it, you see. I'm not doing it. It is happening. It is happening. See?
Yes. Yes. Lo importante es que este ego es incapaz de producir nueva vida. Tiene la energía suficiente para poder descargar todo lo que trajo de la vida pasada y tiene energía suficiente para hacer cosas hermosas, aunque sean los últimos 10 años, 5 años, en el último momento. Pero no va a tener el sentido de que yo lo hago. Él sabrá que esto está sucediendo.
Well, beautiful. In fact, the more, the less the more you allow this natural energies of the Prakriti to unfold, you see, uh, of this Prakriti, Shuddha Prakriti, Patricia Prakriti, Gavi Prakriti, natural energies, the less you interfere, the more beauty will unfold out of it. It will not be restrained in any way, you see. We think that, oh, no, how can that happen? No, you and I don't know what has been filled in this Prakriti, you see, in this Prakriti. And now it will come. In fact, the energies are drained by kashais that come from this interference, you see. The energies go away from kashais, anger, pride, deceit, and greed. But so, yeah. And the interference stops with this, what we are reading. Our current knowledge is what allows us uh, to be free from interference, you see.
Yes. Eh, si nosotros, si permitiéramos que todo fluya naturalmente, ¿no? La energía de este Prakruti pudiera descargarse naturalmente, sin interferencias, veríamos cómo hermosamente esto sucede. Ahora, si interferimos, no es positivo, y no sabemos con qué se llenó este Prakruti. Y la energía la perdemos, la energía se drena por los kashais, por la ira, el orgullo, la codicia y el engaño. Entonces, no interferir, ¿no? Permitir que la libertad, que todo descargue, y eso nos va a dar libertad, y la libertad por el conocimiento de no interferir.
In fact, you see, the biggest interference is this sense that this is right and this is wrong. And that has been kind of ingrained. It has been, it has been molded. It has been kind of stuffed in through our upbringing in our cultures by our parents. Oh, this is, you see, and and so it kind of exists as right and wrong inside, you see. And so then it prevents you from being natural. It prevents you from being natural as an adult.
Yes. De hecho, la interferencia está en decir esto me gusta, esto no me gusta, esto está bien o esto está mal. Y esto es algo que fue moldeado, como fue algo que se estancó a través de la cultura, a través de nuestros padres, lo que está bien y lo que está mal dentro, y no es natural, y no nos permite ser naturales como adultos.
Did you use the word padres too? Yes, padres too. Yes, in fact,
Yes,
not only the parents but also,
parents.
oh, parents is padres, and because I thought father, and also,
Father
and
and
also,
mother are parents.
and also the father in the church. All of those. So
Yes.
include all
Y
of
también
those.
los sacerdotes, la cultura, la religión.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of this thing is. I read a very interesting. I heard a very interesting story. You see, and there was this Catholic priest who really loved the idea. Who really loved the idea of alcohol, the drink, a wine drink, or no, but but it was forbidden in his religion, you see, that you cannot drink alcohol, you see. So, but he kept on always thinking about, oh, it would be nice to have drinks, to relax with a drink, all right. So then it was so intense that he converted to a Protestant priest, you see. And then as a Protestant priest, you see, it was free, it was available, he could relax and drink, you see. But then he discovered something, you see, and what he discovered is that the joy that he would get, the joy that he would get to sneak in a drink as a Catholic priest was much more than when it was freely available as a Protestant priest, you see.
Shuddha escuchó una historia que le gustó mucho y se trata sobre un sacerdote católico que amaba la idea del alcohol y del vino y de cómo lo relajaba, el placer que le daba. Pero en su religión estaba prohibido. Entonces se enteró que en las iglesias protestantes el alcohol no estaba prohibido. Entonces, ¿qué hizo este sacerdote católico? Se fue a la iglesia protestante, a ser sacerdote protestante, donde allí podía beber y relajarse. Pero descubrió algo, que era le causaba mucha más alegría y placer hacerlo cuando estaba en la iglesia católica.
Yeah. You see, so it is not the drink. The problem is not the alcohol. The problem is with the idea of the pleasure, you see, and the idea of that, when you get somehow doing that which is forbidden is more pleasant than doing that which is free available. You see, the it's um Yes, you see, some of us remember that if we had a fruit tree growing in our garden, it, as children, to pick up the fruits from your own garden is no fun, but to sneak into the neighbor's garden and to pick some fruits is more fun, you see. To jump the wall and get in there and, get that fruit, there is somehow more fun, you see, as a child.
Yes. Esta idea, lo que vemos de esta historia, ¿no? Del sacerdote, que no era el tema el alcohol, el tema era la idea del placer. Y más que la idea del placer era porque estaba prohibido, ¿no? Y a veces lo que es prohibido nos gusta más o nos atrae más que lo que está permitido. Es como niños que, por ejemplo, tenemos fruta en el jardín y podemos ir y tomar una fruta y comerla, pero es mucho más divertido ir al jardín del vecino y tomar su fruta y comerlo. Kids always do that. When you said, don't come to it, don't touch that, and they go and do. When I want something from my grandson, I say, don't do it, no, and he comes.
Yeah, right.
Do it.
Yeah, so this is there is more challenge. This is this human spirit, the challenge of the human spirit to do that. It's basically does not want any restraints. No soul likes any restraint over it. You see. Yes, that doesn't mean that the parental role. We're not talking about the role of the parent to give the right kind of values to the child. That is not what we are talking about. We are trying to understand as adults the what is this idea of pleasure, you see, and what is this restraint on pleasure, you see. What is the connection between pleasure and the restraint over it, you see.
Yes. El mayor reto es cuando hay restricciones. si no hubiera restricciones, tal vez no querríamos esas cosas, ¿no? Los padres está bien que eduquen a sus hijos porque el rol de ellos es darles valores. Pero acá la gran pregunta es, ¿cuál es la idea del placer y la prohibición de, eh, de hacer eso, ¿no? De la prohibición del placer?
¿Shuddha?
Eh, mhm.
¿Puedo hacer
Yes.
una pregunta sobre eso?
Yes.
El- el- yo he observado que el placer es aún mayor en aquellos prakrutis que en la infancia, por ejemplo, no tuvieron adherencias como contactos importantes como físicos en la infancia, por ejemplo, con sus padres. Entonces, esta separación energética del niño con el padre, por la razón que fuera, y dejando atrás como la parte kármica, genera como esta necesidad de ir a conseguir algo que no tuviste, que no tienes, que es como una energía que entra, que te lleva a querer como sostener o obtener porque nunca estuvo. Entonces, ¿cuál es la raíz primaria en esa circunstancia de que te entró así, de esa manera, el deseo a la vida? Porque finalmente ese deseo se instaló producto de esa ausencia. Es lo que yo he observado desde mi propia experiencia y de la experiencia de observar la vida de otros que me ha tocado atender.
Bueno, a ver, Gaby's question.
Perdona,
She
Pati,
saw,
a lo mejor.
¿eh?
Perdona, Pati.
No, está todo bien.
Okay.
Espero hacerlo bien, nada más. She saw that pleasure in that prakriti. She saw people that in their childhood they have no contact with physical contact with their parents. Maybe because they weren't present or whatever. So they go for something when they grow, and they go for things that they didn't happen in their childhood. So she wants to know the question if which is the root of that desire to have what they didn't have in their childhood.
Well, they in essence have tasted adulthood in childhood. In other words, they just go. That is how their Vyavasthit has unfolded. You see, this is their how they're from broken homes. They're from the parents are not around to take care of them. The environment is not very good for raising a child. You see, the adults take advantage of the little ones. You see, so it's. This is how the world is. The world is the puzzle itself. You see, it is very, very terrible. The favelas exist not only in those areas, to exist everywhere, in every part of the world, in the so-called rich countries and the poor countries. They exist everywhere because this is Kali Yuga. You see, this is how it is. You see, this is how it unfolds for countless children all over the world. This is their growth, life after life after life. You see, rare are the ones who wake up to this knowledge and this vision, like you and I have been able to see this. You see, And sorry, go on.
En esencia, dice Shuddha, es Vyavasthit, ¿no? Y estos niños que vienen de hogares rotos, de padres que están ausentes, de adultos que abusan de los niños. Y así es el rompecabezas de este mundo. Y en todas partes del mundo, tanto en países ricos como en países pobres, suceden estas cosas, ¿no? Y es la época de Kali Yuga. Son incontables los niños que así crecen vida tras vida. Y pocos somos los que tenemos el conocimiento y la posibilidad de poder ver esto.
Y entonces quiere decir que es como el terreno fértil para que se exprese la codicia en el ser humano, porque finalmente es lo que provoca esta ausencia, esta situación como dramática, lo que finalmente genera en el ser humano es este deseo profundo de querer ir a obtener algo que no se tiene, y finalmente es entonces, es como el caldo de cultivo de esta codicia, ese tipo de circunstancias.
Is that kind of circumstances that allows the root of greed?
Well, it is actually the fundament. You mean it's all the child. It's every human being in life after life carries the net effects of kashais from a previous life. You see.
Yes.
You see, so the kashais, the anger, pride, deceit, and greed, that we see that little one as a child in this life, but that one has died as an old man, as a woman with a lot of problems before, and now that is the child, that's a child, so it looks innocent, but that is not necessarily the case. You see, the roots exist inside it in as anger, pride, deceit, and greed. When then they face their evidences again. You see, circumstances again, and that is all on the basis of punya, good karma or bad karma. So it depends on, even a child that has grown in the ghettos and in very terrible circumstances, may grow up to be a very wonderful human being later on, you see, and accumulates good karma. So and dies. So there is a combination of both in this Kali Yuga, you see, in this of human beings. It's not what you see is not. It's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, we don't see what's below. Inside a human being. You see.
Yes. Lo fundamental es que todo ser humano trae consigo los kashais de la vida pasada. Vos podés estar viendo un niño, pero ese niño fue un adulto, y un adulto con problemas. Y tú ves al niño y lo ves inocente, pero están las raíces que surgen en las evidencias. Pueden ser raíces que traigan buen karma o no. Los niños nacieron, también hay niños que nacieron en guetos o en lugares difíciles y se transformaron en grandes personas, en personas maravillosas. Pero también en esta época de Kali Yuga hay de todo. Lo que pasa es que solamente podemos ver la punta del iceberg y no podemos ver más a lo profundo.
And that is
Pero al
why
final son escenarios, ¿no? Son escenarios dentro de la película. Son distintos escenarios como que van expresando diferentes raíces.
Different stages for different roots.
Yeah, roots, and not only that, you see, human beings they encounter different kinds of company. Good company, maybe parents, grandmother, who's kind and has good caring, or it could be teachers, or in the school, or the padres in the church, etc. All these have positive influences on the child, so the child, even though the child may be in very bad company, the positive company effects are also there that add on, for the child wherever he or she may be growing, you see. And even if in a very poor neighborhood, if the mother is very religious, the child also grows up believing in the Lord, and so he may be a violent person, but he still believes in God. So the combination continues, you see.
Yes. Por ejemplo, todos los seres humanos se encuentran con buenas compañías, las pueden encontrar tanto en la familia, en los padres, en el colegio, en las iglesias, o también pueden encontrar malas compañías que no los van a llevar a un buen lugar. Pero, por ejemplo, puede ser que en un barrio pobre, en un barrio difícil, un niño tenga una madre religiosa y este niño va a crecer con esta creencia en Dios, a pesar del entorno que lo rodea.
Yeah. So you see this, what we we have to really kind of just understand the nature of this sense of the I, the ego. This is happening to me, and that is the root cause of all suffering. You see, this I, the false connection between this that is happening and who am I? You see, this, the false connection between this that is happening and who am I, you see. And it is not just enough to understand who am I. Who am I in all of this has to be experienced in its totality, so that whether it is happening to you, your own effects, or whether it is happening to others, you become vitarag, progressively vitarag, you see, progressively unattached, you see. You become the Lord, you just kind of, you don't, you begin to get into the place where you cannot go back there again, you see. And that is purely through this light of knowledge, you see.
Yes. Entender la esencia del ego, ¿no? De que esto me sucede, es la causa raíz, es la conexión de lo que sucede con quién soy yo, ¿no? Entonces la experiencia, nosotros tenemos la experiencia total, es lo que le sucede, lo que me sucede a mí, lo que le sucede a otros, y en todo eso que va sucediendo es mantenernos vitarag, mantenernos en el Lord interior, sin apego, sin aversión. Y entonces entras en este espacio donde no sales porque tienes este conocimiento.
Dadashri, in what we read today, she says all the problems are this idea, this vision that I am Tela, or I am Graham, or I am Paulina. That is the problem, you see. And you say, now you have received this glorious Swarup. The glorious Swarup, you have entered your home. In fact, all problems started because you were outside your home. You see, you were chasing your shadow, you see. The moment you enter your home, there is no shadow, you see. It's only when you go out of the home, then there is a shadow. You see, the sun falls on your body and there is a shadow. You cannot escape your shadow. It's the shadow that causes the problem, you see.
Yes. Ya dice, el problema es que es la creencia de que yo soy Tela, yo soy Paulina. Y ahora entramos en un estado glorioso de Swarup, que entras al hogar, vuelves al hogar. El problema lo tenías cuando no estabas en el hogar, cuando estabas persiguiendo la sombra. Y no puedes entrar, perseguir, escapar de la sombra. Tienes que volver al hogar. No eres tu sombra.
Yes. Let us take a break. But let me ask you something. In the last session, did I tell you about Chandrakantbhai? Did I?
Yes,
I did. Yes.
I remember.
Then I showed you the photograph of Chandrakantbhai and Dada, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you sure.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
So when we come back, I'm going to show you something else. But this is kind of in relation to the same thing. You see, so when I return, I will show you. But anyway, let us take a break now.
Vamos a tomar un recreo ahora y después cuando vuelva va a compartir algo más de Chandubhai que habló el último satsang. Thank you, Shuddha.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Jai Sachidanand. Thank you,
Thank you, Jai
Marcella.
Sachidanand.
Yeah, thank you.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Yes. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Oh, wonderful. I think,
Yes.
yes, Luz had raised a hand. Luz, you want to say something, Luz?
¿Quieres decir algo, Luz? ¿Levantaste la mano?
Sí, Jai Sachitana, ayuda.
Jai Sachitana, my dear.
Muy bien. La pregunta es la siguiente. Después del LAN nosotros entramos en un proceso solamente de descarga, galán, ¿no es cierto? Cuando esa descarga es interferida por nuestro ego, ¿esa descarga es su propia evidencia, queda de esa manera, o a través de los 5 elementos eternos se reacomoda y vuelve un tiempo después?
Repetímelo, a ver. Después del NAN, el proceso de la descarga.
El proceso solamente de descarga, ¿no?
De descarga,
No.
sí. Cuando interferimos.
Claro, cuando nosotros interferimos con el ego en esa descarga,
Sí.
esa descarga, esa es su propia evidencia y queda así de esa manera, o a través de los 5 elementos eternos se reacomoda y vuelve otra vez dentro de un tiempo.
Okay, gracias. Luz's question is, after the non-vide, the process of discharge happens. So if we interfere with the ego, that discharge it is it's an evidence, or it comes back with a 5 element. No le estoy. A ver, no entiendo la pregunta.
Ahí sí. Si son los elementos eternos finalmente los que ordenan para que esta descarga vuelva, porque
are
quedó
the 5
ahí
elements
intervenida.
Are the 5 elements what bring it back to discharge?
La pregunta en realidad es qué pasa con esa descarga que es intervenida por el ego.
Okay. What happens with that discharge when the ego interferes?
Yes, it is. It will be clear that in fact all the interference is of the discharging ego now. You see, our disconnection from this complex of karma and effect, Puran, that which was filled in the last life. In the last life, whatever was filled is now discharging in this life. Whatever is discharging, that discharging is happening to lose Maria and her world, inner and outer world. And you are absolutely disconnected. You are now the Amapura, and the disconnection is absolute. It is not a partial disconnection. You see, the disconnection is so absolute that there is no connection anymore. So whatever interference that appears is of the discharging ego only. That discharging ego still believes I am loose. You don't believe I am loose. Please go and translate this.
Yeah. Yes. Todas las interferencias son una descarga del ego. Todo lo que fue cargado en la última vida va a estar descargando en esta. Y está sucediendo a luz y en el mundo de luz. Pero tú estás desconectada, absolutamente desconectada. No hay conexión. Cualquier interferencia del ego, ¿no? Es de creer de que yo sos luz, pero tú no eres luz.
Yeah,
Estás separado.
Yeah, right. The discharging ego is the one who says, who still believes I am loose and this is happening to me. You see, the discharging ego. There is no more ego left where the Amapura is. You see, the belief. So it is not necessarily because the Amapura does not have any beliefs. It is only the discharging ego that can believe anything. Amapura is like the light, the pure soul. You see, Amapura. And the suffering is also of the discharging ego. Because it believes this is happening to me, it suffers. If it stops believing that this is happening to me, its suffering will go away.
La descarga es del ego, ¿no? Y en la creencia de que yo soy luz y esto me pasa a mí. Pero en el alma pura no hay ego. Y la creencia es por la descarga del ego. El alma pura, de hecho, no tiene absolutamente ninguna creencia. Es puro conocimiento y pureza. Y el sufrimiento viene cuando pensamos que esto me pasa a mí. Cuando estoy desconectada de esa creencia del ego, de hecho, el sufrimiento desaparece.
See, the thing is, it only feels it is just a temporary illusion. Now it's like walking in the fog. You see, just because you're walking in the fog, you don't lose your ground, do you? You're still on the ground. You know, the fog makes you feel like your world has disappeared, you know. But your feet are
Yes.
still on the ground of the Amapura now, you see.
Yes. La cosa es así. Solo se siente como una ilusión temporal. Es como caminar en la niebla. No podés ver nada, pero no pierdes la tierra. Tus pies están apoyados en la tierra. La tierra no desaparece. Pero ahora tenés los pies en tu alma pura.
See, this evidences, my dear Rose, the evidences are continuously changing. The evidences are actually governing the effect that is being interpreted by laws. Oh, this is happening, now it's there, now it's gone. The evidences are actually controlling everything, you see. Scientific circumstantial evidences are controlling everything, and therefore seeing these evidences is your exact freedom, you see. Is your exact freedom here, and you're only able to see the evidences because you are separate from them. You are the Amapura. Only Amapura can see evidences. The intellect cannot see the evidences. The ego is blind. The intellect can only see, oh, he did it. No, he didn't do it. You know, will jump. Oh, he is doing it, until ego is given, the intellect is given some more evidences and say, oh no, I'm so sorry. You were not doing it. You see. And our Gnani gives a very beautiful example. You know, you're sitting with your handbag, you see. You know, and a lady comes and picks up your handbag. And because her handbag and your handbag looks exactly the same. So you know, you say, oh, wait a minute, you don't take my handbag. And then the lady will say, no, your handbag is over here. This is my handbag, you see. So it's the illusion, you know, it appears, but it's actually totally separate, you see. It is actually totally separate, you know. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
La evidencia cambia, las evidencias cambian continuamente y gobiernan el efecto que interpreta luz. Las evidencias científicas circunstanciales controlan todo, y poder ver las evidencias es tu exacta liberación, y las ves porque están separadas. El alma pura puede ver las evidencias, el ego es ciego. El ego va a decir, él lo hizo, y yo lo vi, y todo ese tipo de cosas. Y el Gnani dio un ejemplo hermoso y dijo, hay una mujer que está sentada y pone su cartera en el piso, viene otra mujer, se sienta al lado de ella y pone su cartera también, y las dos son exactamente iguales. Cuando esta segunda mujer se levanta, se lleva la cartera, y la que estaba sentada dice, te estás llevando mi cartera. Y la mujer que se iba le dice, no, son dos iguales, ahí está la tuya. Y este es un proceso, es una ilusión, es una ilusión.
Mm-hmm. Or, you know, you're sitting in it, you have, you know, there are multiple platforms in the train station, and you sit in a train, you know, your compartment, you're sitting now, and you actually, the train on your other platform on the right hand side is moving, and you feel like your train is moving. You say, oh, our train is moving. And then you look on this side, and the platform still there, and people, you know, So this side is not moving. And he says, oh, I'm not moving. It's that train moving now, you see. And it depends on which side you look, you see. And if you look to the right, you say, oh, the train is moving. I am moving. You see, you look this side, your train is still, has not moved. You're still right there, you see.
Yes. Un ejemplo, por ejemplo, sería estar en una estación de tren donde hay múltiples plataformas y tú estás sentado en tu compartimiento. En la plataforma del lado izquierdo hay un tren y ves que el tren se mueve, ¿no? Y dices, "Oh, se está moviendo, nos estamos moviendo". Y después miras para el otro lado y hay otro tren y no hay tren, y ves que todo está quieto. Y es que el tren de al lado se estaba moviendo, pero todo depende desde qué lugar estés mirando. Por un
Yeah.
lugar ves que el tren se mueve, el de al lado, y te parece que te estás moviendo tú, y del otro lado no hay nada, y ves que está todo quieto. Todo depende de dónde estés mirando.
Yeah, and there's a magnificent sentence in the Gnanvidhi Luz that you are familiar with. Not a single property of my is in I, and not a single property of I is in my. You see, my is Prakriti. Not a single property of Prakriti is in me, and not a single property of mine, I, is in Prakriti. Because they are so close to each other, illusion arises, you see. Just like you look to the right side, the train is moving, this side is not moving. You see, because they are so close to each other, illusion arises. This Shuddha, this loose is so close to you, so close that the illusion arises that it is happening to you. It's happening to you. It's not happening to you, it's happening. It's happening to the Prakriti, it's happening to loose. It's all happening to loose. And so because of this illusion is so close, it feels as if it is happening to me only, it is happening to me only. And with that appearance as one is the origin of this world. The whole world arises. You see? That the whole world arises. And it is all in the Prakriti only, you see. And this Prakriti is scientific circumstantial evidences. This is Amapura, scientific circumstantial evidences continuously changing. But this one is absolutely still and fixed inside. I also Soya Amapura, you see. Shuddha Chu, you know.
Yes. Hay una oración muy hermosa que dice que nada de lo que está en el Prakruti está en mi ser, y nada que esté en mi ser está en el Prakruti. Lo que pasa es que surge la ilusión porque están tan cerca, tan cerca. Es como el tren, de un lado parece que se mueve y del otro no se mueve. Entonces luz y alma pura están tan cerca que parece que esto le sucede a luz, pero no te sucede a ti. Y en eso que aparece, entonces el mundo entero surge. Y todo está en el Prakruti y en las evidencias científicas circunstanciales que están en todo momento están cambiando. En el único lugar donde hay quietud y paz es en el alma pura.
The other five, you mentioned the other five elements, eternal elements. These other five eternal elements is scientific circumstantial evidences, you see. The other five continuously changing, you see, and you are the sixth element. You and I are the sixth element, the Amapura, the absolute Amapura. You see, the sixth element, that is the pure knower. The other one is matter, physical matter, space, time, moment, and inertia. You see?
Yes. Los 5 elementos a los que te refieres son las evidencias científicas circunstanciales y por eso estos 5 elementos también cambian. Pero tú y yo somos el sexto elemento, que es el alma pura. Y los otros 5 elementos son el espacio, el tiempo, el movimiento, la inercia y la materia.
And you cannot see the other 5 eternal elements, but you can see the physical stuff, you see. You know, matter you can see, this everything physical you can see. You can see the moments, the gross moments, you see. But you cannot, if you see the blood vessel, you see this blood vessel, the vein, if you see the vein, you would, but inside the blood is moving, and inside the blood there is all kinds of cells, red cells, white cells, you see, moving, you see. Everything is moving. I am the knower.
Yes. Todo, no se pueden ver los 5 elementos, se puede ver la parte física de estos elementos eternos. También podés ver momentos, podés ver las cosas que son evidentes, podés ver las venas que se marcan en las manos o en el cuerpo, pero dentro de esas venas hay sangre que está en constante movimiento, y dentro de esa sangre también hay células blancas, células rojas, que también están moviéndose continuamente, pero yo soy el conocedor.
Yeah, Luz? Okay, my dear. Yeah.
¿Está bien?
Yeah.
Ok, perfecto. muchas
Yeah, right. There are certain aspects. The interference, when it happens, know that it is part of the Prakriti only, you see. That is how it is. No, Arman, don't do this, you see. And so that is, Prakriti only, both only Prakritis,
Bueno, Luz, para que la interferencia es parte del Prakruti, ¿no? Por ejemplo, si le decís a no, Germán, no hagas esto, es parte del Prakruti, de los dos Prakrutis, el de Luz y el de Germán, solo eso.
Both Amapuras, Arman and Luz, Amapuras, pure souls, you see.
Los dos son alma pura, Luz y Germán son alma puras.
Yes, both. You see, these are evidences. Everything is just evidences, You were, in a previous life, you had decided that you wanted to be with someone who will continue beautiful spiritual work together, and so that's happening now for both of you see.
Todos son evidencias, ¿no? Y por ahí en una vida previa los dos decidieron hacer un camino en la vida espiritual juntos, y esto está sucediendo ahora hermosamente.
Yeah. Vishuddhatma, because now anybody else wants to say anything? Because now let us go to I wanted to share with you, let me first share the book. I don't think I shared the book with you a little bit. So let me share the book first. It's just, the same Chandrakantbhai wrote a lot of letters to Dada. What, it's the picture of Chandrakantbhai. He is the one, remember?
Este es Chandubhai, yes, the grandson, nephew of Dada.
Yeah, right.
Acá está Chandubhai, que fue Also, he was the first one who saw Dada special and asked him for the knowledge.
Right. Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Chandukrai fue la primera persona, el sobrino nieto, familiar lejano de Dada, que vio lo especial que era él y le pidió que le diera el conocimiento, y acá Shuddha nos está mostrando su foto.
He was doing beautiful satsangs and he wrote many letters to Dada, you see. Beautiful letters there are. And it's a little book, and in the last part of the book there are the letters in Gujarati. You see, of course, I'm just showing this to you just because in the books the letters are there, and then he would even turn the on it like a typical, when you don't have enough space in the letter, you turn it around, then you write this way, you see, and then you write this way.
Okay.
And anyway, so, but that's him. But the reason I now want to share with you is this last page of the book. You see, this is the last page of the book, and I'm going to share this actually now on the screen, so that because our dear Marcella or Laura, one of them, has already translated it. Is it full screen? And let me just go into, first of all, gallery view, and let me share the screen.
Acá va a estar compartiendo, cuenta ayuda que Chandukrai le escribió un montón de cartas muy hermosas a Dada, que están en la última parte de este libro, y la última, que está en la contratapa, la va a compartir ahora en pantalla.
And this one here, around the break time, Marcella gave you that sutra, and it's in the back portion of this book. By the way, this book was distributed to everyone who attended the first Pran Pratishtha of the first temple Trimandir of Dada in Surat, you see. When, in 1992, the first Trimandir arose, you see. And so anyway, everybody who came there were given this book also, you see.
Este libro fue escrito cuando se hizo el primer Trimandir a Dada.
Yeah.
Todos pueden ver este libro.
Yeah, Kamrich. It was in Surat. You see, it's on the highway. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous, just like our Adalaj Trimandir. Very beautiful. And now we'll come back to this sutra which Marcella has translated in, which is actually the back part of this book. You see.
Acá Marcela tradujo la parte de atrás, el sutra completo, lo va a estar compartiendo.
And in this there is the photograph of this Chandrakantbhai, and along with other very prominent Mahatmas. This is Chandubhai, and this is Khetsibai. They were all very close to Dada in those days, and they are doing the Aarti of Dada, you see.
Ahí están dos Mahatmas muy cercanos a Dada, que están haciendo arte a Dada. Estaban muy cerca de él siempre.
Yeah, the one in the middle is Khetsibai, but he was the head of the organization under Dada, the Jai Satchidanand, organization, and he was the head. He was living in Mumbai and was instrumental in printing a lot of these small books. You see.
Está también Chandrakantbhai, que es el del medio, que era la cabeza de la fundación de Jai Satchidanand en Mumbai, y se encargaba también de toda la impresión de libros y escritos de Dada.
Now, Guru Purnima is coming. In this pretty soon, and that is Guru Purnima. On that day, there will be the full moon. You see, it's called Poonam. Poonam, Poonam. Poonam means full moon. You see. And Chandra, Chandra, is means moon. Chandra is moon, you see, and from Chandra, by the way, Chandra is moon, you see, and Chandrakant, that is where the name comes from. So it's kind of interesting, you see, there's Chandrakant and Chandu, Chandrakant, you see, Chandrakant. So it's kind of, so this Dada is describing this Aptasutra number 3508, which says this moon that we all see in the sky, you see, like the moon, it has got the beach, the second day, then the Trij, the third day, and then there is the Poonam. We can all see that, right? What is it? Dada himself is asking in the Aptasutra, what is it that when we sometimes we see the second day of the moon, like a crescent, then we see the third, the moon enlarging, and the fourth, and then finally we see the full moon. What is it? Dada is asking, okay?
Acá comienza a escribir del primer día, el primer día de la luna, el segundo día de la luna, el tercer día de la luna, y así como va llegando a la luna llena, ¿no? ¿Y qué es esto de la luna llena? Y entonces Dada comienza a describir. Pero primero dijo que Punam es luna llena, Chandra es luna, y bueno, y Chandrakant el nombre de este Mahatma. Y entonces después Dada empieza a describir esto de las lunas y sus fases.
And so then he says, Dada says, oh, they're nothing, it's only the phases, you see, phases in brackets, situation, you see, avastha. It's only the phases, but the moon is the moon only, right? Moon doesn't change. It is always there. These are the phases, like, the situation of Gabi, the situation of Luz, you see currently how Luz's mind is feeling, Luz's chit is doing, how Luz's body is feeling, etc. That is called avastha, phase, you see. But you yourself are the same. You see, you are Amapura, in the same way you are Ama, you see.
Yes. Entonces Dada dice, estas son solo fases, son solo situaciones. Podés ver diferentes aspectos de la luna, pero la luna es la luna no cambia y la luna siempre está. Son fases, solo fases. Es como con luz que tiene sus fases, que tiene, pero siempre es igual, siempre es alma pura.
Everything else are phases. These phases is for the people of the world that, oh, this is Chandrakant, you see. This is the phase of Chandrakant, you see. Did the moon ever become the second day of the moon? Did the moon ever become the second? Beach means second day of the moon. Did the moon ever become the second day?
Todos los demás son fases, son fases del mundo, las fases, ¿no? Entonces preguntan, dice, la luna está en su segundo día. ¿La luna está en su segundo día?
Did
¿La
the
luna
moon
cambió?
did the moon ever get cut? Sometimes we see only half the moon. Did the moon ever get cut? You see?
Después vemos la mitad de la luna, decimos, ¿la luna fue cortada?
It remains, it is the moon only, you see, it is the moon only. I'm, right here, right now in the sutra, it is the moon only, you see.
Es la luna solo.
And all these others are, the other is writing in English, speaking in English, phases of the moon. And in the same way, these are phases of the man, Che. This is phases of the man Che. This is Che means these are phases of the man only. Yeah, right?
Y acá Dada escribe en inglés, son fases de la luna y son las fases del hombre.
Yeah,
Del
phases.
hombre.
Yeah,
Fases.
phases. These are all phases. In other words, this is beautiful Aptasutras. You see, these are all phases. You know, sometimes we are smiling, sometimes we are upset, sometimes we are angry, sometimes we are worried. You know, these are all phases. But the Ama is the Ama. Chandra is Chandra. Ama is Ama. Gabi may be upset, Gabi is angry, etc. But Ama is Ama, you see, all right?
Todas estas fases, ¿no? A veces podemos ver la cara de una persona, a veces está contenta, a veces está triste, enojada, o está feliz, pero todas estas son fases y el alma permanece siempre ahí. Son las fases del hombre.
And at the bottom is Aptasutra 3804, 3804 Dadashri. You see, this whole thing is an Aptasutra. It will come, we jumped, but you see, this is so beautiful for us to explain. Look how Dada is saying, you see this moon? He said, second day, third day, what are they? You see it. Everybody, in the same way, in human beings, when you see, all you see are the faces. You see the faces of Herman and faces of Laura. Sometimes Laura is very happy, sometimes Laura is very, very energetic, and sometimes she just is sitting there, These are faces, you see. But
Este maravilloso Sutra 3804 nos muestra que absolutamente todo, nos dice Dada, son fases. Puede ser que haya algunos días en que Germán o Laura estén como molestos, cansados, tristes o que estén bien, pero simplemente son fases.
So, it just is evidence, scientific evidence that, I reached out and this book came in my hand. And so this is, and then I saw this sutra and I said, this sutra is so beautiful. Now we understand this sutra so wonderfully. Now, every time you and I take a walk in the moonlight, whether it is in the forest or whether you are by the sea, you see the moon, you're reminded of Dada. The moon is the moon, and everything else are the phases, you see. So the circumstances of the mind, the circumstances of the body, the circumstances of the speech are simply the phases, you see, and is a scientific construction and scientific circumstantial evidence only, and no one is doing it. There is no creator God doing it. That is how it is. That is how it is, you see.
Yes. Las evidencias, ¿no? Este sutra tan hermoso que Dada nos dio, tan completo, ¿no? Dice que cuando caminas puedes ver la luna, pero recuerda a Dada. La luna es la luna y las circunstancias de la mente, del cuerpo y del habla son solo fases. Y son las evidencias científicas circunstanciales son las que mueven todo. Nadie crea nada y es así como es.
And just as we see Dada blessing Chandrakantbhai by putting his hand over his head like this, you see, in the same way, he is now blessing all of us, because the blessing is this exact understanding, you see, of what is there in this Aptasutras, you see.
Vemos a Dada que está bendiciendo a Chandukrai, que le pone la mano en la cabeza, y es la forma de bendecir. De esa misma forma que lo está bendiciendo, nos está bendiciendo a todos nosotros en este momento.
Yeah, so when you see, if you place your hand over your head, just try it, put your hand over your head,
Prueben de poner la mano sobre su cabeza.
Yeah.
Prueben.
Yeah, and you will, you feel the hand of our Dada over you,
Y van a poder sentir la mano de Dada
Yeah.
sobre ustedes.
Yeah. This is because we are receiving his knowledge. We are his Mahatmas, Yeah.
Porque hemos recibido su conocimiento y somos sus Mahatmas.
Yeah. So Vishuddhatma Bhagwan, this is, you don't need anybody's blessings anymore. You are blessed by Dada Bhagwan himself, you see, the Lord within, The Lord has arisen within.
No necesitamos las bendiciones de nadie más. Tenemos las bendiciones de Dada en nosotros todo el tiempo.
Yeah, Gnani Purush, you see. All right, so Vishuddhatma Bhagwan, we now have a little time, so we will move over to the next sutra of Dada, in the reading of Dada, and then we continue. And is anybody? Let me see here. Where are we? I need to get that. Yeah. Yes. I need to first pull it out again. Okay. Hold on. Yes, there it is. We read all of this, and now we come to the next Aptasutra, and it is Aptasutra 3431. Okay, this Aptasutra on the moon was 3804. So, of course, that is a very advanced stuff. This one is 3431. Not a single Parmanu, subatomic particle of matter of this world, is outside our five agnas. Directives that preserve the awareness as the self. Soyamapura. Not a single Parmanu exists outside of our five agnas. And so there are actually two Aptasutras here. There is Aptasutra 3429, and it is mixed with Aptasutra 3421 for the complete understanding of Vyavasthit. Okay. If just one of our so go on. Yeah, go on. Yeah. Yeah. Speak, my dear.
No, acá hay, acá hay dos sutras que se han juntado para el completo entendimiento de Vyavasthit, el 3431 y el 3429.
Now, so if just one of our agnas is followed completely, it is possible for one, the awakened one, to become ekavtari, a state whereby only one more life remains before final liberation. then it depends on one's understanding. That is, provided he gets his work done without the use of the intellect, you see. You have, okay, so now let you read this.
Ni un solo parmanu, partícula subatómica de materia, de este mundo está fuera de nuestras 5 agnas, las directivas, que preservan la conciencia como el ser. Aptasutras 3.4.2.9. Si solo uno de nuestros agnas es seguido completamente, es posible que uno se convierta en Ekavatari, un estado por el cual solo queda una Ekavatari, el estado por el cual queda una vida más antes de la liberación final. Entonces ello depende del propio entendimiento. Eso es provisto siempre que él haga su trabajo sin el uso del intelecto. Aptasutra 3.4.3.1.
Avatar. Avatar means to enter into another life, you see, avatar. Ek means one. Ek avatari means the one who is now got the final life, you see.
Avatar es entrar en la vida final. Y el avatar es cuando queda solamente una vida para la liberación.
Ek avatar is final, one final. Avatar means just to enter into another life, you see.
Ok.
Avatar.
Avatar es entrar en otra vida y Ek avatar es entrar en la liberación final.
All right. Questioner, from what you're saying, I understand that after you give Gnan, there is nothing to be done except to keep seeing the Prakriti that is dissolving.
Pregunta. Por lo que dice, entiendo que después de que usted da el Gnan, no hay nada que hacer excepto seguir viendo el Prakruti que está disolviendo.
Dadashri, keep seeing it. Keep seeing it. But now nothing has to be done. Nevertheless, there are all kinds of parts of the Prakriti. For example, if there was a water tap and you were to stick your finger in water flowing out of a half-inch water pipe, you would be able to withstand it. However, if someone may have more karma like that of an inch and a half pipe, so his finger would be pushed away. So if it gets pushed aside, that means his Prakriti did not reduce. The Prakriti still remains pending, and as that time passes, it will need to dissolve.
Dada dice, sigue viéndolo, pero ahora no hay nada que hacer. Sin embargo, hay todo tipo de partes del Prakruti. Por ejemplo, si hubiera un grifo de agua y tú metieras el dedo en el agua que sale de la tubería de media pulgada, serías capaz de soportarlo. Sin embargo, alguien puede tener más karma, como el de una tubería de pulgada y media. Así que su dedo sería empujado a un lado. Si es empujado a un lado, eso significa que su Prakruti no se reduce. El Prakruti sigue en pie y a medida que pasa el tiempo tendrá que disolverse.
But question is, but when you give this Gnan, this attentive awareness, the Laksh, which you establish, after establishing that attentive awareness, only the Prakriti remains, right?
Pero cuando da esta conciencia atenta que usted establece, después de establecer esa conciencia atenta, solo queda el Prakruti, ¿cierto?
Dadashi says, yes, nothing else is left at all. Patricia?
I lost
Right here.
Okay. Si no queda, sí, no queda nada más.
Questioner. Now, the Prakriti that remains, its nature, Swabhav, is indeed such that it will naturally keep dissolving on its own.
Pregunta, ahora bien, el Prakruti que permanece, su naturaleza, Saubhau, es tal que seguirá disolviéndose naturalmente por sí mismo.
Dadashri says, that's it. Now it keeps flowing only, you see.
Dadashri dice, eso es, ahora sigue fluyendo.
Questioner. Now the support that you are giving us, that support you give is of the five agnas.
Pregunta, ahora, el apoyo que usted nos está dando, ese apoyo que usted da, es de los 5 agnas.
Dadashri says, the reason we give you the support of the five agnas is so that now you will not be affected by the effects from outside, the non-self, you see. Therefore, they are a protection, you see.
Dada dice, la razón por la que nosotros te damos el apoyo de los 5 agnas es para que ahora no te afecten los efectos del exterior, el no ser. Por lo tanto, son una protección.
This is exactly the questions of Lewis, you see, coming up. You see, questioner, there is no one left internally that can now create any interference.
Y acá viene para la pregunta que hizo Luz. Ya no queda nada intermitente que pueda crear alguna interferencia.
The other she says, yes, no one is left at all.
Tadashi dice, sí, no queda nadie en absoluto.
And so the questioner says, and so the external interference do not arise for that. You know, he's speaking.
Y para que no surjan interferencias externas, para que, y continúa hablando.
And the other she says, so that clearance remains in the external, in the Prakriti, the non-self and the worldly interaction, there are the five agnas. Because wherever you look outside in the world, there is nothing but kusang, that which takes you away from the self. The reason these five agnas exist are to protect you from the poison of kusang.
Tadashi dice, para que la liquidación continúe en lo externo, el no ser y la interacción mundana, están los 5 agnas, porque donde quiera que mires al exterior en el mundo, no habrá nada más que kusang, lo que te aleja del ser. La razón por la que existen estos 5 agnas es para protegerte del veneno del kusang.
Therefore, discharge continues to happen on its own. But instead, one goes on to run something and then becomes the owner of that, you see. And once he becomes the owner, he has to suffer a beating. When one sits in the train and then later goes to sleep, does he check to see how many wheels are turning in the train or how many springs are making a squeaking noise? The fellow goes to sleep peacefully. Look at that. That is how this discharge is. This is discharging. This discharging will indeed continue to happen on its own. It will even continue when one is asleep. Even in sleep, the discharge is happening.
Por lo tanto, la descarga sigue ocurriendo por sí misma, pero en cambio uno va a ejecutar algo y luego se convierte en el dueño de eso. Y una vez que se convierte en el dueño, tiene que sufrir un golpe. Cuando uno se sienta en un tren y luego se duerme, comprueba cuántas veces están girando las ruedas o cuántos resortes hacen ruido. El tipo se duerme tranquilamente, mira. Ahí sí es esta descarga. Esta descarga continuará en efecto por sí sola, incluso cuando uno esté dormido.
Okay, so we're going to stop here because it's a long one, but this is very beautiful. The trains in India, many of this old trains, if you get into there, of course, if the compartment, if you're not in the first class compartment, the springs squeak, you see. and, and you also go up and down, but do you worry about which wheel is turning, you just go to sleep. Tomorrow your destination will come, you see.
Y así es en India, ¿no? Aunque vayas en los trenes de primera clase, van a ir el movimiento, el tren va a tener movimiento y tú también vas a estar, pero bueno, estás en el tren, vas a dormir y mañana vas a llegar a destino.
In the same way, there are the wheels of this train called Marcella or Laura or Gabi, Sometimes they squeak, sometimes they jump up and down, sometimes they don't behave. The spare parts they work, sometimes the spare parts don't work, but they're all spare parts, you see. Yo so soyama pura, soyama pura.
Y así nos pasa a todos con todas las partes ¿no? Que a veces se mueven, saltan, vamos de arriba para abajo. Y bueno, así es como sucede.
So this discharge is exact, and the only times when there is a little bit of a suffering is you jump in there and you say, hey, this is happening to me, or I'm running this train, this is my train, I'm running it, you see.
Y a veces cuando surge algún problema nos subimos al tren y decimos, este es mi tren, me está pasando este problema, esto me está haciendo a mí, yo estoy dirigiendo el tren. Y ahí es como que saltamos adentro del tren y aparece el sufrimiento, ¿no?
So Vishuddhatma Bhagwan, highest namaskars from our dear Laura and Marcella and Patricia to all of you. And please
Thank you,
accept
Shuddha.
our
Jai
namaskar.
Satchitana.
Thank you very much.
Jai Sachidananda.
Jai Sachidanand.
May you be. Jai Sachidanand. Jai Sachidanand. May you all have a beautiful Guru Punam, a beautiful Guru Punam, and remember that really we are all actually the moon only, and these are all phases, you see. We have landed on the moon, you see. So we don't have to be worrying about, which phase it is. We have landed there,
Y bueno, les deseo que tengan un feliz Guru Purnima y que recuerden que todas estas son fases y que nosotros ya estamos en la luna.
Yeah, and on right. And on Guru Purnima Day, we just continue to give a lot of love to our Dada, you see. Yes.
Y en los días de Guru Purnima le vamos a dar mucho amor a Dada.
Jai Sachidanand.
Gracias, Jai Sachidanand Shuddha.
Jai Sachidanand. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Gracias.